Of course, there are products like tickets and services like streaming platforms, but I happen to think in pro wrestling, we are selling an experience, and that experience can be as varied as our customers. I'm Mike Quackenbush. This is Till We Make It. And throughout the course of my career, I've been fortunate to work in front of the cameras as a professional wrestler, referee, ring announcer, and commentator. And I've worked behind the scenes too, as a promoter, booker, agent, coach, and consultant. And today, I want to crack open an idea that started to form in the wake of 3 phone conversations I had with friends of mine, 2 of whom work at the independent wrestling level, and 1 of whom happens to work up at the corporate level. But what they were saying all touched on roughly the same idea. So, the refrain that I kept hearing from my friends went a little something like this. They felt that pro wrestling was being ruined by wrestling fans. And this was a reaction to something that they read, something that they saw online, something that they heard, that their experience was being diminished because of the response of certain fans. And because I heard this basically 3 times in a row, I started to really think about this as a concept. And I've got an argument I want to share with you today. My Till We Make It tribe. It's just one dude's opinion, that's all. Before I lay it all out there for you, I want you to know if you're looking for a way to turbocharge your career and make sure you realize your maximum potential as a professional wrestler, then I want to offer you access to exclusive videos, essays, book excerpts, seminars of mine, and unreleased material that you won't find anywhere else. I make educational multimedia for professional wrestlers at every stage of their career over on Patreon, a link to which is down below, and we would love to have you join our community. All right, so here it is. A mistaken notion among many working pros is what experience we are actually selling to our customers. And I think it's important to recognize that not all of our customers are wrestling fans. Our audience is more diverse than that. Here's one easy example to wrap your head around. At every single wrestling card ever held, there's been at least one person who was there because they just went along with a group of friends, or they were dragged there by their significant other. But if you asked them if they were a wrestling fan, they would say no. And yet that person is our customer. They bought a ticket, they're in the stands, they are watching the event, they are our customer, but they are not necessarily a wrestling fan. And in addition to those 2 groups, wrestling fans and the people who are tagging along, there's self-styled critics or pundits. They really aren't there just to enjoy the show for what it represents, nor have they been dragged along unwillingly by somebody else who was really interested in the show, and yet they are our customer as well. And there are probably more segments of our consumer base that I haven't even thought of. If you happen to think of them, drop it below in the comments. I happen to think that at a micro level or a transactional level, you could think of us as selling a product, like a ticket, or a service, like a streaming platform. But that's only looking at it from a micro level. I think if we look at this from a macro level, from further above it, what you will see is that we are actually selling an experience. So, to a pure wrestling fan, we are selling them the experience of being in a live crowd, of engaging with live combat theater in the moment while it is being made. And not just that, but everything that comes with that experience. Yes, to a degree, that is the experience of waiting in line to be admitted and talking with like-minded individuals while you are there. It is the experience that you're going to have buying your ticket, going to the merchandise table. And what happens after the fact? Do you go out to a bar or to a restaurant with your friends or other like-minded fans and enjoy the camaraderie that comes with being part of that community? If so, all of that experience is actually what we are selling them. However, wrestling fans do not make up 100% of our customer base. Remember, there are other groups like the self-styled critics of professional wrestling. And if this year has taught us anything, it is this. We need to sell to every potential customer that we have. Anybody looking to stay in business, they need to have a product or a service, and they need to sell it. I would argue that to this type of customer, the self-styled critic, what we are actually selling them is the experience they get from posting their vlog, their podcast, their hot take, their reaction video, and then seeing all of those hearts and likes and retweets and comments come pouring in. When they buy a ticket or they buy a stream, they are not necessarily interested in the performance itself. The experience they are more interested in is the process of making their critique or review and then sending it out to their audience of 50 or their audience of 50,000, and the validation that they feel from that point of view being published to like-minded individuals. I think in this kind of example, the pro wrestling is almost circumstantial. If they could elicit the same emotional response from their audience by reviewing movies or posting video game walkthrough videos, well, they'd need wrestling even less. And the end product they are chasing is actually what they publish to their audience, an audience that may not be interested whatsoever in you or your match or the promotion that you work for. And in that way, I think we are sometimes getting wrong what experience we are selling to certain customers. If you have to perform in front of a customer base that is made up of more self-styled critics than it is genuine wrestling fans, it's really important to bear in mind what the experience is they are paying for. And as unfortunate as that might be for my friends, or as it might be for me, or as it might be for you, we have no say in who gets to buy a ticket. Every business needs to sell their product or their service in order to stay in business. And we do have a responsibility to service all the customers, even the self-appointed tastemakers. And so I am of this opinion. The self-styled critics out there have at best a circumstantial relationship to professional wrestling because their true emotional attachment is not to the wrestling itself, but to the commentary they produce after the fact about your match or about your live event. And so when they buy a ticket or a live stream, the experience they have been sold on is actually the feelings they get from publishing that commentary to their audience who validates their point of view. And while I do appreciate the argument that it would be nice if we could entertain only true wrestling fans and not a room filled with self-styled critics, the hard truth of the matter is, it is our responsibility to entertain all the customers. Quite a few of my peers in the world of professional wrestling are going through some burnout, and if that sounds like you, then check out this video over here on ways to overcome that feeling of wrestling burnout. Do you agree with my argument about the experiences we are selling to our customers? Let me know how you feel down below in the comments. And if you haven't yet, this is a fine time to join the Till We Make It tribe and subscribe.